Hey y'all, today very special guest, somebody who I don't just know in this sphere, somebody I know personally, my man Darien. Darien, tell the people about yourself a little bit.
Yeah, man. Matt's the homie. Been the homie for going like on almost a decade now.
Right.
Our wives are besties, so naturally we became besties as well. But we got closer because we're both, got a love for Philadelphia sports. I also host my own podcast as well, Sixers and Six, SI6. You can find us on any streaming platform that you use. But happy to be here, Matt.
Absolutely, absolutely. So after last night, I'm feeling like Sixers and 1.
Yeah.
So we were just saying before we got on here, you were saying you expected nothing less. Tell the people what you mean by that.
Yeah, man. So I expected nothing less because one, we have the MVP, Joel Embiid, right? And then you add a very capable scorer who also has the same gravity as Joel. When I say gravity, obviously it's like, the gravity that Joel has on the floor. He attracts triple teams, double teams, sometimes the entire line of sight for the defense. And so now they can't do that anymore. Now they have to pay attention to James Harden as well. And that just opened things up. And so I didn't expect anything less. I saw, I think I follow a few guys for betting and stuff. And like one of the lines for Harden was like 21, like 9 and 6. I bet the over on all those. I just knew he was going to come out and just cook. And he wasn't even that super aggressive. He came out, kind of just distributing, just kind of trying to fill everybody out. He was giving Embiid looks that he probably hadn't seen all season. It was crazy. Embiid had 34, and I didn't really notice.
No. Did you see the over? His plus minus, Harden's plus minus was 35.
Yeah,
30. I mean, that's just absurd.
Yeah, especially because he was on the floor a lot of the time without Joe as well. I give Doc a very, very hard time on my podcast, but he did a good job with kind of splitting up their minutes. And so Harden was on the floor a lot of time with just bench guys or maybe like Tobias. And he was still almost plus 40. That just tells you how good he is, man.
That's how it has to work, though, because you can't try to expend all. There is going to be some time where you might need to just let Joe cook and have Harden on the side, or not have. But part of the slander, I feel like people, in terms of sports narrative, that's why I think it's important. Everybody makes the joke. Everybody has their own podcast, but I think it's important because now everybody has the ability to say something, and so people aren't really analyzing sports. People get carried away with narratives. I mean, I don't know how people pretended that it was a bad move to get Harden when he damn near had Clint Capella looking like an all-star.
Yeah. He's had every big, like even if you watched a little bit of the Nets this year when Kyrie was out, and then KD obviously was out, and it was just a Harden show. He had Nick Claxton playing out of his mind. Like he turns every rim runner he's ever played with, he turns him into a lob threat. The guy can play. It's like it's because it's Philly. Like it's they always say, it's the woe is me. No, it's like we're not crazy. It's the narrative against Philadelphia sports. It's like they don't want to see us too high. They love us when we're down. They love to kick us when we're down, and we're going to talk our smack too when we're up too. So,
excellent.
You know how it goes.
Absolutely. I mean, you have to. So, what stands out other than how Harden played? What stands out most to you?
So I talked about this in my podcast a little bit. So I think every single person in this new starting lineup, I think they complement each other the best that we've seen in our starting five in quite a while. Starting from the top, right, with Maxey. He's not really the breakdown ISO guy like Embiid and Harden are. He's more of a straight line drive kind of guy, right? And so with him being able to play off ball from James, just catching the ball and go. You saw it multiple times last night. He had 28. And again, you didn't see it, didn't feel like it. Yeah, he was just getting guys open, getting guys in spots, and then he's shooting 40% catch and shoot this year as well. And so he's just growing, man. And now he's going to have a chance to grow alongside Harden. And he played the quasi combo guard at Kentucky with IQ, who plays for the Knicks. So like this is his natural position. And so just having Harden, who's probably one, top 5 shooting guards / point guards of all time, doesn't hurt. And then Tobias, he's not He's no longer playing opposition, right? So he gets to play as, you know, a true third scoring option. We were asking too much out of him. Again, I give him hell on my podcast. He has, you know, he has that 180 billion, however much we're paying him. But now, you know, if you take the numeration aside, he's playing where he should be. No.
Yes, the 3. He's a great 3, but he can't be a 2.
No. He's a great third option. And then Matisse is great in the dunker spot, you know. So I think all those guys just play off each other very, very well. It's really hard to kind of nitpick any of, you know, if Matisse was shooting better from the 3, then I'd say Sixers in 4, right? But he's the outlier on the offensive side of the ball. But I love it.
Shoots. But he
shoots, which I don't hate. He hit I think he hit 2 last night or hit 1.
Yeah, I mean, what stands out the most to me about Harden was that he only shot 12 times from the field. Yeah. So, you know, the narrative that he's a ball, you know, dominant player is true. But a lot of those times he's ISOing and he's getting on the line. He's getting the other team in foul trouble. So, I mean, that really stood out to me. And then the free flowing, I feel like we got back to a lot of this year has been set plays, setting up half court offense. I think we got out more last night, and the ball was just flowing so beautifully, really.
I know what you're saying too, because I think we're probably one of the most unathletic teams in the league. I don't know if it's by design or what it is, but we play under the rim a lot. And then, you know, it doesn't help that we have the best post threat in the game too. So a lot of the game is very, very much slowed down for us. But Harden, man, he gets the ball and goes like right off the rim. He's running to the rim. So they got to play with him. And like I said, Embiid was getting looks that he hadn't seen all season. Even he said, I've never played with a guy like this. Ben Simmons did a good job. Ben Simmons did a good job. Again, you know, he's what he is. We talk about what he's not, but like just being fair, what he is you know, he can distribute the basketball, but he doesn't scare you with the basketball. Harden can do both those things. And so that also opens up the floor for Embiid. The guy, he was just wide-eyed last night. Like, how did I get such an easy 34? He was losing his mind.
When he does lose his mind, he's going to lose his mind.
Yeah.
50 piece. Somebody's getting the health always comes with any kind of prediction in sports. Health aside, I guarantee you he's got a 50 piece for somebody this year.
Oh yeah. Even Harden has probably a 50 piece on tuck, bro. Like he was getting calls last night that I hadn't seen him get in a long time.
Yes.
Because the refs had made a point to, you know, like not fall for the foul baiting and things of that nature. But he was getting the and one on the 3 balls, and he wasn't getting those this season in Brooklyn. He just seems rejuvenized, man. And I think he has a chip on his shoulder. I think he's not playing angry, but he's playing motivated. And I think that's what we're seeing.
All he needs is one. James Harden's the kind of guy, all he needs is one, and he jumps up probably 20 spots in terms of where people say he was in terms of greatness. But he probably is ahead of that class of like the Charles, and I guess I would still put him behind Karl Malone and KG. That's the group he's in right now. He gets a ring, he leaves that group.
Yeah. I mean, like you can't. This is my thing when it comes to like people saying who won and who lost a trade. Whoever got the best player in that trade wins. It doesn't matter what you give up. I just don't understand. Like, oh, you lost Seth Curry. I like Seth. Oh, you like Dre or lost Dre. I like Dre as well. But when you get the best player in the trade, you win the trade. That's how it works. And you saw it last night.
And we both need, but small comma, Danny Green has to play decent basketball like he did last night. Like sometimes Danny Green, I like him, but sometimes Danny Green gets to be an unplayable. Like way back to early in his career. Yeah.
He even with his defense isn't what it used to be. And so if he's not, you know, and he's sometimes he hesitates on when he's like wide open, he'll catch pump fake. and then shoot it when the guy's closing out. I'm like, just fire it, bro. Like you're that's what you're catch and shoot guy. Absolutely. Just fire it off. I like Niang because Niang just no conscience. Just lets it fly every single time.
Kind of like Dario. He reminds me of Dario.
Yeah, Dario just let it fly every time. Is he still hurt? I think he's still hurt. I like Dario, man.
I miss Dario.
We have a I cannot confirm. And I'll tell you offline.
Okay.
There's a buyout candidate.
Ooh, okay.
That's gonna really, I think, set us up for success.
Okay.
It's a guard.
Okay.
He's a great shooter. So we'll talk after this. I don't want to make any promises, but it's like the verbal is there, right? And as long as the verbal's there for if and when it happens. I was told this yesterday by a source that I respect. So if that happens, I think it's ours. Honestly, we just need to shore up the bench, and that guy's amazing. He's a great six man. I think I've already said too much, but just think about the great six men that can get bought out at this point. It's not too many of them.
I'm too excited. So, y'all, if it feels like I'm rushing the podcast today, it's because I'm trying to get this. I'm trying to get the scoop. But okay, so in terms of getting out of the East, who would you say are top, the people that the Sixers really need to? Obviously, you have to show up and play and show up and take your opponent serious, no matter who. But who are the people you're like, they really might stand in the way from the East?
You'd be lying to yourself. You don't say the Nets, right? If they get healthy, if Ben returns to form, if they lift the vaccine mandate in New York, which might be on the 2-yard line, and if KD is healthy, then it's hard to ignore what the Nets could be, right? But that's a lot of ifs for them, and so it's like, and they are an 8th seed right now, so they're in the thick of the play-in. Ben doesn't know when he's coming back. They just said today that he's still out of shape, and they don't know when he's coming back.
That's just absurd. That's just absurd.
I know. And then KD's, he's not 100%, right? And so that's going to be a lot for him to carry. But if they are healthy, obviously the Nets. But I still say it's the Bucks conference to lose.
Yes.
I think obviously we beat them right before the break. They were missing Brook Lopez, but we just had Embiid, right? And so like I don't care who's out and who's in, like you line up and you play. And they still had the reigning MVPs, former MVP, Finals MVP. But I don't fear any of these teams.
Yes.
I think we have a solid chance to win out and go to the finals. I think we were one of the most talented teams. With I think we're the best duo in basketball. So I'd say Bucks and Nets. I don't fear the Heat. I think Jimmy's going to come up short. I don't think Bam's ready to be that guy yet. You saw what we did to the Cavs. I don't fear the Bulls at all. We've run through the Bulls 3 times already. Who else am I missing? I think that's it, man. I think it's Bucks and then asterisk beside the Nets if they can get their stuff together. But that's really it.
At peak, projection, the Nets are scary, right? But the only team that I have anything material to go on is the Bucks, because the Bucks, the Sixers have I believe if people had to vote today, would be the NBA MVP. So they have the player who's playing the best this year, but Giannis is the best player in basketball. I think best singular basketball player.
I agree.
Yeah. So
I agree. Yeah, I mean, they've done it before, right? We haven't gotten out of the second round ever with this with this core, and so like you have to give some credence to the fact that they have that experience and they know how to turn it on and play playoff ball when the times, like they went toe to toe with the Nets. That was probably one of my. I'm trying to think like in terms of like entertaining series of basketball that I've watched in a long time. And the Nets probably could have won that. And just KD was a size 14, right? And his foot was on the line. So I could have gone either way. But I'd say Bucks, if they get it together, if they lock back in, that they'll give us a run for our money.
Yep. So my thought is that I'm just going to jump the gun and get my answer and then see what you think about this. But I think, again, in terms of basketball, is like who has the best player. Like you said earlier about trades and everything, that's what basketball boils down to. Who has the guy who can go get a bucket. So my thought is that out west, it is Golden State. I'm not afraid to play Phoenix. I'm really not. I'm not. If the Lakers get it together, even that, I think we might have the best AD and LeBron or James and Embiid. That sounds like slander, but at this moment,
oh, I welcome the slander. I welcome it. Lean into it.
What do you? Because you don't fear the Lakers, right?
Not at all. Not at all. I think obviously what happened in the bubble. I don't call it fluky. It was just like the stars aligned, right? For the Lakers. Then and when it comes to the Suns, Chris Paul's out for 2 months or whatever he's out for.
Yep.
I don't think they have the superstar power to win it. I like Devin Booker a lot. I just don't think those other supporting guys can pick up the slack with Chris Paul being out. I thought their best shot was last year. I think they're going to be an amazing regular season team. I mean, I think they have like 49 wins already, which is insane. I don't see it in the. I don't think they're better than the Warriors. Not healthy Warriors.
They're kind of like, you remember when the Hawks got really good?
That's what I was thinking about.
Yes,
they're like that 60-win Hawk team when they sent their whole team to the All-Star game. Yeah, and got destroyed by LeBron.
Yes,
yeah,
they're like them or the Raptors when they were really good. It's like okay, yeah, they have the best regular season record, but when the chips are down, that this other team is just going to run through them.
Yeah, and it wasn't as close as it like. With the Bucks in the finals, right? The Bucks won 4-2, right?
Yes,
last year
4-2, 4-2,
and it wasn't that close. Like the Bucks were pretty.
Well, it's because the Suns got out to the 2-0 lead, and then they just.
Yeah, and it's like you gave up 4 straight, and it's like the Bucks are just, I think, that much better than the Suns. I think the Suns have actually got them a couple times this season or once, but we'll see.
These games like post All-Star for people who love basketball, that they watch like October, like Halloween basketball.
Yeah,
really, the casual fan is smart to start watching now, because this is when games like, oh, I beat you, that actually matters in the regular season now. But in January, no.
And it's like, I think post All-Star break is like 22, 23 games. Every game means something, especially with this new play-in variable as well. These teams aren't like just going through the motions, right? Like, for example, when we beat, like, again, the Philly narrative, woe is me. No, you guys don't give us enough credit. But when we beat the Wolves last night, the Wolves are a good basketball team.
Right.
They just beat the Grizzlies, who are a great basketball team. And then we just ran them out of their gym. Obviously, it's on a back-to-back, but like, again, professional athletes. I don't. You got to show up. You got to play. And they were very cocky against the Grizzlies last night, or night before last. I think D'Angelo Russell had like 20 in the fourth quarter. He was a shell of himself. Embiid always outplays Cat. Like, we're just a good basketball team, I think. And honestly, sky's the limit. I try to stay grounded and within myself, but this team, I asked my my co-host partner, I want to ask you the same question about this starting 5 versus the starting 5 with Jimmy, in terms of, I guess, the levels of your excitement and potential, that if had that group stayed together more than 1 year, and if this group stays together more than 1 year, do you think this group is more talented than that group from 2018 with Jimmy, Tobias, Ben, JJ, and Embiid?
I think that question boils to how good James is. If you get James, it's a very fair thing, like what you got in the day against the Timberwolves. Easily, there was not Jimmy on his best day, not capable of doing offensively what James Harden can do, and Karl Anthony Towns, to your point, who's a great
amazing
basketball player, pretty much got contained last night in a debut. So I think it's easily goes down to how good James is.
And so I'll take a step further. I think Joel Embiid is the catalyst, because this Embiid that we're seeing versus the 2018 Embiid is night and day. And that Embiid was really good. And now you have a number 2 who can, if Embiid has an off night, which he very seldom has, can go and get you 40 and pick up the slack. So I think Embiid being who he is now is the difference between that starting 5 and this starting 5.
That was the 2018 two double quarter pounders a day, Joel Embiid.
yeah, facts.
Tummy aches and all that. So that's a different. You're right. So in terms of the MVP conversation, I believe that right now, if people had to vote, they would go with Joel. Your top 3.
Yeah, Joel, obviously I'm super biased, but like even then with my bias and just taking that out, right, and just being objective, I think the MVP award is 50% skill based and 50% narrative. I think Joel just has a story this year. Like Jokic had the story last year and Giannis had the year before.
Everybody for Philadelphia 76ers.
we'll use the commercial break, y'all, to play for y'all the Sixers song. You'll be hearing a lot of it on television broadcasts after they play it at home when the Sixers win. And I think people should be getting used to the Sixers winning. So I thought that would be important. So back to our conversation we were talking about the MVP, and we were talking about DeMar DeRozan. And so you're saying DeMar DeRozan needs a couple of signature wins to really put himself in the contention to be headed towards a championship, is your point?
Yeah, I think kind of like, so DeMar's kind of like in that weird space where Russ was, like 2016 Russ, where he's playing out of his mind. But toward the end of that season, he made that playoff push for his team. Even I think they were like an 8th seed. He was like post KD, but he had like some insane games, and like he hit a couple like insane like game winners, like iconic type stuff. But like I think DeMar needs to, like, because it's narrative based, right? And I think the narrative right now, the story is just with Giannis, Jokic, and Embiid just playing out of their mind. For him to get to that spot, he has to like get 2 more like big time wins, like over like game winners over the Warriors, or like going crazy against the Suns. So like some respectable opponents. I think that will kind of skyrocket him into that conversation.
So we know who's not going to be the NBA MVP, and I don't care if the Nets win every single game for the rest of the year. Mr. Ben Simmons, he will not be. I don't know if he's going to win a ring. He could. There's a championship. Could be the Finals MVP. It would make people who are fans of the same teams as us. We'd be pretty upset about that. But it's possible.
I'd die. I'd die if Ben got a ring. I'd die. I'd probably die from the amount of crow that I'd have to eat on Twitter. I couldn't do it.
It would be somewhat unbearable.
Yeah. 1000%.
Crime would shoot up in Philadelphia.
Yeah, for sure.
Nobody better get cut off in traffic that night.
Oh my God. Everybody will be on edge.
But talking about Ben Simmons, back in the world of reality, do you think that he's going to play on March 10th?
No chance.
No chance.
No chance. No chance. What's today? The 26th?
26. So you got about 2 weeks. I think it's 2 weeks.
2 weeks. I think he'll probably play his first game like March 13th, like right after. Even if he does play before that, I don't see him like suiting up and coming to Philadelphia to play basketball. I just don't think it's for his, like, let's go with the mental health thing being real, even though he says it's not real, right? So it's also a gray area.
Are we supposed to be sympathetic?
So yeah, I mean, that's what they say, right? They said don't speak on things that you have no idea what's going on, and then he comes out and says, actually, it had nothing to do with my mental health. I'm fine. But he filed a mental health exemption to get paid. So it's like, I don't know, bro. The posturing is insane. But to that effect, I just don't think it's in his. If Philadelphia was just so bad for your mental health and just so bad for your overall happiness, I don't blame him if he doesn't suit up, because it's going to be bad.
But he has to just burst that pimple, because he's going to have to come to Phil if they want to win. The road to the Eastern Conference is coming through Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. They're in the 3 seed without James Harden. Yeah. So if they have designs on going anywhere, they need to. Ben has got to get this over with. I think he needs to just come and take it and play his butt off.
He's not cut like that. He's not built like that. I just don't. He's just not that. So when you look at Ben, right, and we've made this designation a couple times on my pod, it's like if Ben wanted to change who he was fundamentally as a basketball player, it would have happened after the game winner against Kawhi. That should have told us all we need. Like that's when you saw a major shift in who Joel Embiid was. He was like, I'm never going to be on the opposite end of a shot like that. I want to make sure I'm not putting myself in a position to have to be in a position to lose a game like that. Ben came out and was the same. He was the same player. He just doesn't have that fire, and he also has this thing that he's battling up against. He has the fear of failure. That's why he doesn't shoot. It's not that he can't do it, because you see him do it in open gyms all the time. You see him do it when there's nobody in the stands, but when he has, the bright lights are on, he doesn't want to be the butt of a joke. I don't know what it is. Like he's seen a sports psychologist about it. He just cannot get over the funk of failing in front of thousands of people. So he sticks to what he knows, and what he knows is just running and dunking and passing the ball. Which is,
it's so funny to reduce his game to that, but at the same time, it's not slander.
No, it's who he is, right? And he also doesn't stand in the reality of who he is as well. That's why he wanted out. Multiple reasons came out, but Joel said he wanted his own team. You can't have your own team if that's all what your game is predicated on.
This is definitely not his team.
No, it's more not his team than it was his team in Philly.
Philly was his team.
Right. There was two-headed monster
around him.
Right.
They didn't build this team for Joel Embiid. If they built this team for Joel Embiid, they would have got real knockdown shooters. They accepted Ben's inability to shoot anything for years.
I actually thank Ben for being the catalyst that skyrocketed Embiid into becoming who he is. Mm-hmm. Embiid wouldn't be the player without having to play around an inefficient offensive player like Ben. He had to he had to get a shot, and Joel couldn't do these things in college. He wasn't this player 8 years ago. He had to develop this game because we had a guard who was inept on the offensive end, and he was just a net zero in the half court. He literally does not look at the rim. He would pick up the ball at half court or at the free throw line in the middle of a set, and they'll just bet the defense will just drop off, and he'll just stand here with the ball looking for somebody to pass. It's insane. That's not basketball, and I can't believe I tried to defend it for as long as I did. It's insane. It's maddening. The fact that we have James Harden, who is a wizard now, is insane.
I'm sorry, it cut out on you. You said Ben would pick up the ball. He didn't look at the rim.
Like he'll do the little stupid jump hop passes, or once they kind of build a wall and they shut down the secondary break, he just freezes. It was hard to watch. It was hard to watch.
Absolutely. I'm glad to not have to defend an NBA basketball player not wanting to shoot the basketball. Yeah. I'm glad to have that off of.
I don't want to defend that anymore. I was making myself crazy. Like, Darien, do you actually believe what you're saying? No, I didn't. I'm a homer though, so
on not home turf. So we can't speak objectively as much as humans can do that. LeBron, do you think LeBron has won his last championship?
I think so, man. I think the ship has sailed. The Lakers are in a very bad place to build around him. They are cash strapped. They have horrible contracts on that team. They're aging, one of the oldest rosters in the league. And he asked for it, right? And this experiment failed. And now you're stuck with one of probably the worst contract in the league with Russell Westbrook. Carmelo's almost 40. And he's taking game-winning shots for you. It's like they're not in a good space. AD can't stay healthy.
These sports team owners are about to get things back under control. Like with the Aaron Rodgers situation and with LeBron, I was thinking, like, what if LeBron demands a trade? These teams are not obliged to give you the trade. They don't have to. They could do, now that Morey and the Sixers did what they did, it's kind of a template for people like, okay, I'm not trading you. Okay, my team will just play. We'll have to play without you.
Yeah.
You're not just getting out of here. You signed a contract for a reason.
Yeah. And so I'll say this too, like, I love what we did. Obviously, like, I was just completely over the Ben Simmons situation. Like, when it initially happened, I was one of the people, like, not saying like trade him for anybody specific, just like, I was over the situation. Trade him for penny, just get him out of here. So I respect Morey for sticking to his guns and saying, no, I'm gonna get an all-star back for an all-star or a superstar, and he did it. That said, I'm super like player empowerment, right? I think the league isn't the league without these players. I think if they I'm not a fan of our draft. I'm not a fan of the restricted free agency. I think they should all be able to just go and play wherever they want to play, and the small market teams will figure it out. But it's never separate conversation. So it's firmly in the camp of player empowerment. But to your point about the blueprint, it could go the other way too. Now teams are like, no, we're not going to make this a thing. Even Adam Silver came out, was like, it's not good that our guys are signing contracts and then asking out of those places a year into a 5-year deal. So he's not a fan of it, and I can only imagine that the owners probably aren't as well. And there aren't too many guys who can also pull that off, right? When a guy like who's like James Harden or like a Kawhi Leonard can do it, but like not a lot of guys can, throw that name around and say, I don't want to play. Ben is just lucky that he was attached to James Harden, because he'd still be sitting wherever he lives in his living room, because Morey was like, who do you think you are?
Right.
You're not that guy.
No. So somebody I do think is that guy. I've liked him since he played quarterback at Wisconsin, Russell Wilson. I just don't think anybody is that guy for 4 first-round picks.
No.
And Darius Slay.
No. No. Yeah, I saw that one too. I was like, what?
For context, listeners, if you haven't, a lot of people tell me that they listen because they really can't watch this stuff all week. So just for context, people, what we're talking about is Colin Cowherd, very renowned host over on Fox Sports, talked about this week that he thought that it was a good idea for the Philadelphia Eagles to trade. They have 3 first-round picks, trade all of those and additional first-round pick of next year and Darius Slay to go and get Russell Wilson from the Seahawks. And I think that is the craziest thing I've ever heard.
It's absolutely insanity. And I understand too, like, Russ is really, really good. And he's 32, 33. But the way he plays, he could play for 5 more years at this level. If he has a solid offensive line, which we do. So it makes sense, but that price is just, nobody is worth 4 first-round picks. And arguably on paper, Darius Slay was like the 2nd highest graded cornerback in the league last year. So it's like, that's incredible. And I get it. Like the quarterback moves the team. The quarterback moves the franchise. Do you think, how far do you think roster as is, add Russell Wilson to that team? Like, well, how far does that team go? If you say Super Bowl, then sure. I mean, why not? Like, I'm firmly in the camp too. It's like, I'm not huge on, I think the process has jaded me with like just hoarding assets. So to the point where I'm like like trade those picks. I don't give a damn about, a middle schooler who we're going to trade or draft in 2030, So now I'm like, go get it. Cause like, it's so rare to win a Super Bowl. Like Matt and I have been fans of the Eagles our entire lives. And we lost so many NFC championship games. And the fact that we were gifted this miracle run with Nick Foles, we don't know when we'll see another Super Bowl, right? And so, like, and a lot of people can't say they've never seen their team win. And so I don't know. There's an overpay, but then there's like a overpay that Colin's talking about, which I can't wrap my head around.
So you said the question boils down to, do you think you can win a Super Bowl if you were to get this X player, even if it's not Russell Wilson?
Right.
I don't think if you trade out Russell Wilson for Jalen Hurts, I still think the Bucs blow the Eagles out when they played in the playoffs. I still think the Eagles probably win the East, and so maybe they don't play the Bucs or somebody like that until later. I think it's a 1-2 win difference, which is a lot. But I would much rather, if we're just gonna, because you're not gonna get it with an equal salary, so I would much rather spend the money, not for, like you said, the draft compensation. You can score. We scored Jason Kelsey in the 6th,
right?
So that's, if you do a really good job of running your organization, that you can minimize the loss in your draft picks. But that it really handicaps you for free agency if you go and get a Russell Wilson, because I don't think this defense, especially if you were to give up like a Darius Slay, or, knock on wood, a Darius Slay were to get hurt. Imagine how off Jonathan Gannon would call this defense if you didn't have a Slay. They, you get 3-yard slants all day. This Avonte Maddox is good. Steve Nelson is fine. This defense needs major upgrades.
1,000%.
I can't watch Alex Singleton play, or Alex Singleton can play, but he shouldn't be starting.
No, I'd lose my mind. Anytime I see him in coverage, I'm like, it's about to get bad. It's about to get
But then he gets the pick sixes though.
Yeah, yeah.
Trayvon Diggs.
Oh, for sure. And like even then, like when you're watching the tape, it's like, was that intentional? Was he just like accidentally in the right spot? Like
they're like hitting him right in the chest.
Yeah. It's like, is he skilled or is he lucky? Like, which is hard to discern. But like even so, going back to the trade, it's like look at the most recent Super Bowl champion, right? They had been in the Super Bowl before with the quarterback who they drafted ahead of Wentz, and they said, okay, it's not enough. Like he's handicapping our team, even though we're incredibly talented, and have arguably some of the best defenders the league has ever seen, the best wide receiver, a great running game. They still said that's not enough, right? And they went and got Matt Stafford, and still like they weren't the odds-on favorite, right?
No.
So to your point, it's like we can't just go get Russ and assume that it's all going to fall in line. We don't have a Aaron Donald, we don't have a Jalen Ramsey. I mean Darius Slay, but like we don't have we don't have even an Odell Beckham. You know what I'm saying? Come in the slot, and like we don't have a Robert Woods. We have Devontae Smith, right? We don't have a Cooper Kupp. So it's like when you look at like what it takes to win a Super Bowl, and you go back and look at our teams, like and the one that won it, like we were solid. And then Nick Foles just was carried by an angel, but we had a great roster.
Nick Foles is blessed. Why can't people accept that Nick Foles is just blessed? Why can't people just enjoy Philly, Nick Foles and Philly Green, and just let it happen? He's gonna come back again. I watch before he retires.
I'd welcome him right back. I'd welcome him right back.
He's gonna win another playoff game in that jersey.
I'd welcome him right back. That's one. So like we're, my podcast, we slander. Yeah. And that's one guy who's like slander proof.
No, it's unacceptable.
And like is his place, not only is his slander proof, but he's also like an amazing person. So it's like you really can't take the shots at the guy.
You brought up the slot. So who if you could remove a player, say that they go back in time and say, Eagles, you cannot allow this player to play. If you had to choose, would you have said that player is Jalen Reagor or Ryan Kerrigan?
Oh, Reagor. Reagor lost us single-handedly like 3 games with drop passes. And like we give Jalen Hurts a hard time, because it's Philly and he's under a microscope, but like they're like he threw some dots. And put us in position to like be up in games where we had lost by like a touch or score or like 3 or 6. And 18 is just dropping passes. I don't think I've seen like we gave Algahor hell, but like he was solid, but he dropped some passes post Super Bowl. He just couldn't get his mojo back. But he was solid. Like when you look at his stat line, and even like with the eye test, like he was solid. Like he was playing very well. We've never seen that from Jalen. Jalen Reagor, that is. Like we've never seen. We said like flash in the pan, like 2 or 3 plays this season where you kind of see like this is why they drafted him that high. But man, when you look around the league and see all these young wide receivers like churning and burning, just doing their thing, and you look at Reagor, it's like, bro, do you want it? Is it a mental block? But unfortunately, like the shelf life in Philly for giving players time to figure shit out is very, very short. So but
he's worn out his welcome. I'm sorry. Reagor has played too bad to warrant. I mean, I thought what they needed to do, maybe not permanently, but during the season, I was really big proponent early on, I started seeing some of it, is playing Rager at running back and playing Gainwell as slot receiver. I think maybe Rager has more, and maybe his hands are sure enough to catch stuff out of the backfield. I trust him on stuff like that. And the Eagles obviously do, because they would be throwing him screen passes and such. That's what I more want to see. But I feel like now it's just time to break up. Unfortunately.
Yeah, but also too, Matt, once you have to start like getting gimmicky for guys, it's probably for a first round draft pick.
Yeah,
like what are we doing? It's like all right, we messed this one up.
It always felt like a reach, though. They talked themselves into drafting Jalen Rager. It was weird. It was like Doug Peterson was just like, "This is our guy, and y'all will see." And he was trying to prove something,
bro. Every time I see Mike Zimmer in the Vikings, the video of them laughing at us passing on Justin Jefferson, and just the knife just twists every single time in my back. But and this is my thing with the assets, right? We've hit on some guys, like I won't take it away from Howie. Like he hit on Fletch, Zach Ertz. He had a really good draft. I really like defensive tackle, the rookie that we just grabbed. Milton.
Milton Williams.
Yeah, I like him a lot too.
Yes.
But like again, when you give Howie too many assets and like too many cards on the table, that's when he starts trying to be the smartest guy in the room, and like he just tries to get too cute. And so that's why I'm worried about this draft. We have tons of draft capital coming up, and I'm like, Howie can hit, but like when Howie tries to like really Howie this thing, he gets in his way, and you draft guys like Jalen Rager over Justin Jefferson, or you draft guys like Arcega-Whiteside over DK. Like when the obvious draft pick is in your face, he's like, it's too obvious. Let me get cute and try to Howie this thing up. Like, bro, just make the right pick. Draft the guys from the SEC. Just not TCU.
And I think also, a lot of teams overthink the draft. You watch football, watch the best players who splash onto your screen. Get the best players get the best player that is available when your spot sets up. Like when I do fantasy basketball, I'll just put this out. I mean, it's not complicated.
No.
When you draft, you don't have to, you want to look over the list to remember the names of everybody who's involved. But honestly, you sit there, you wait till your draft pick comes, and you say, oh, this is the best player. I don't care where everybody else is evaluating them or what my position of need is. No, if I have two great forwards in basketball, I'll do that. If I have two great offensive linemen, I'm going to figure out one's going to have to play center and one's going to have to play left guard. If I have two good pass rushers, okay, I'll get two pass rushers in a row.
I don't understand. Like, and I'm sure it happens with other teams, but we just don't follow him as closely. But Howie is just a guy where he's like, I know better than everyone else, right? And like sometimes you don't, man. And like you don't have to, it's not complicated. You see all these Alabama Bulldogs in the playoffs every single year. You see the LSU wide receivers going berserk every single year. Go grab those guys. It's not complicated. The best players go to the same schools every year. We don't have to keep looking for guys like the diamonds in the rough. I think that's what Howie tries to do. It's just like, so you can be the smartest guy and like, hey, remember when I found X, Y, and Z from North Dakota State?
But I got to give him credit though, because last year he just went and grabbed Devontae Smith, and that was the best pick.
Right, he didn't get cute. He just that was what everybody was like, and the other said you should make, and he did it.
Thank you. That's how this works. The best player comes up, you get him. So talk about somebody who we again tried to get cute because he was Division 1 AA, I believe, quarterback. Very good there, but again, didn't pop off the screen. Was not a Joe Burrow or anybody like that. Carson Wentz. Do you think that he would be a better fit for Pittsburgh, or he would be a better fit for the Commanders, as they're now known as?
Oh man, I'd personally love to play Carson twice a year. I just think he's kind of like, when Stephen A makes the joke, like the accident waiting to happen. He's literally that guy. And he and on paper he had a great season. And I see of Indy going from him. They're not sold on his leadership or how players are taking to him or what have you. But on paper, he got the job until he didn't get the job done, right? He lost to the Jaguars at the end of the season, a 2-win team. He had some bonehead picks, some stupid fumbles. He's going to Carson it up, just like Howie's it up, just like the Cowboys cowboy it up. Carson's just going to get in his own way. He doesn't have that, like, I don't know, man. Like some players get it, some players have it, and Carson just doesn't have it. But as much as I'd like to see him play in our division so we can beat up on him, I think a player like him Pittsburgh seems just like that fan base. I think though they'd rally around him. They rally around weirdos, so I think that would fit them.
Ben is going to put his armor. I'm glad you said it, because Carson to Washington just feels like it's just the right fit when you think about the characters involved. The best move is for Ben Roethlisberger to kind of endorse Carson Wentz as like the guy. Yeah. Because if he comes to Washington, Carson and Ben are always going to be linked, and they're kind of similar dudes. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, they are just mentally fragile individuals. They're very much like, I remember when Ben came out, he was like, I just can't motivate myself. I need a coach to like light a fire under me. And when that quote dropped, I was like, man, we're screwed. We don't have a guy who can just compete and be his biggest critic. That's a problem. And when Jimmy got traded and then he was having a blast in Miami, they were playing very well. He was like, yeah, they asked him about like what's going on in Philly, like why didn't that work? He was like, you just got guys in that locker room who just care about the wrong things. Like they care about the shoes, the cars, and it wasn't it wasn't lost on us on who he might have been talking about, right? Because Embiid is as low key as they come. He just loves basketball, and Carson might love football, but football doesn't love Carson.
No.
So I don't know.
Wherever he goes, it's his last stop going there as a starter. Unless he goes and plays really well. I don't expect that, but this really will. I mean, this is pivotal for Carson Wentz's career, because now 2 teams have given up on him, and you can never separate Nick Foles and Carson Wentz. Your team won a Super Bowl without you, and that team, that quarterback is a journeyman again.
Yeah.
Your MVP season, that team won the Super Bowl without you. Yeah. So it's not really a ring. It's not even really a number 1 seed in terms of how people think about these things.
Yeah, and I think that Nick Foles coming in just playing like a god, I think that's what broke him. I think that's what broke the fan base, is like support around him, and that probably had the same effect in whether we wanted to admit it or not. We kind of fell out of love, as much as love that we were with Carson when Foles delivered that Super Bowl to us, and probably the same thing happened in the locker room when you have a guy just behind you, a Super Bowl MVP. It's hard. It's hard.
The Eagles should have never let Nick Foles go again, but it's okay. The statue will remain, and so you got us. Your take is that we will not see Ben Simmons on March 10th.
No, I don't think so. Even when his initial press conference, he was like, when they asked him, like the tenor of his voice, they asked if he'd be ready to play March 10th. He said, I hope so. It was just very shaky. I don't think he wants to play back in Philly. I don't blame him, because he actually, like, I fear for his life. Like, our fans, like, they have like disdain for Russell Westbrook guys, like just come in and just, chomp back at him. But Ben's not the chomp back guy, and he did him dirty, right? And so I just think he's just not in that mental space. So I wouldn't blame him, and I don't think he's going to play.
Man, it's that will do more damage to his psyche if he's got to basically fold and so he's coming to Philly regardless. So he's coming to the stadium. It's not like they're going to let him not.
So I don't think he's going to travel. I don't think he's going to travel.
God,
I think he'd stay in Brooklyn for like conditioning or something. I don't think he'd travel. And just imagine, like, he has to like understand too. Like, Embiid got this team to the 3rd seed without him, and then we just added a former MVP who seamlessly fit in last night with Maxey, Tobias, and Embiid, and elevated those guys in ways that you never could. Not to say you aren't good, but your ceiling and James Harden's ceiling just not in the same stratosphere.
No.
And he has to have watched that, and he sees it. So he feels a certain type of way. He's just not that type of guy. He can't come out and go bucket for bucket with James Harden.
But he does it.
This is not.
I'm not trying to offer him basketball advice because
he doesn't have to do that, right?
I'm excited, but he doesn't have to be.
No,
he does not have to go. You can't go bucket for bucket. That's Kobe, Mike, Prime Penny, T-Mac. Those are the Iverson. Those are the only people in NBA history going bucket for bucket with James Harden.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that name up off script, but the NBA top 5, some best players of all time being off that list. Thoughts?
The best players left off the list?
So T-Mac was off. He was not a part of the top 75, but guys like Damian Lillard and Kawhi Leonard were on there. I forgot who, Anthony Davis. T-Mac had a time in history where he was arguably the best player in the league. Yes. And you can't say that for Damian Lillard.
And Anthony Davis. I think Anthony Davis, there's a whole lot of projection in how he's viewed. And I think if he just stops right now and play, like, he doesn't make it to another finals, doesn't win another finals, then he probably falls back. And then, that's slander. That's not right.
No, not at all. And I'm not like a diehard T-Mac fan by any means, but I love basketball. And like when he was at his peak, scoring 30-some a game, people were saying he was better than Kobe for like 2-3 years. There was never a moment in time where Dame was better than Steph Curry, right? So, like, how is he top 75 when he's never been the best player in the league? No MVPs.
He's never been top 5. He's never been top 5 in the league.
I don't know how many All NBA teams he's been on, but I don't think he's been first team All NBA.
No, second team. No, I think last year I think it was third team he got.
Yeah, it's just like, and I like Dame. I just got to think about, like, I don't know. That was the name that's where I started my bidding for Ben Simmons. I was like, same. I'm not taking McCollum. I'm taking Lillard or nothing. Yeah, same. And I was actually told that Morey isn't a huge fan of McCollum for whatever reason. Maybe it's like a GM versus player association president type thing. But not a huge fan. But I was firmly in the camp, like, hey, bring Dame over here. But Dame wants to be a loser for the rest of his life, so he can.
They're bad. They're bad.
Yeah,
real bad. Yeah, well, Darien, thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, sir.
Tell the people where they can follow you and show you some love.
Yeah. If you like slander, come on over. DMay76, DMAY706 on Twitter. Podcast is 6pod, SI6POD. We record every Tuesday, me and my homeboy Cliff. But yeah, appreciate the spot here. We gotta have you on our podcast, so you can lean into the slander as well. I appreciate it, Maddie.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And I'm gonna stay on with you after I cut this off so I can get that news you were talking about.
Yes.
Thanks, y'all.